They say marriage is built on trust, but no one talks about the quiet erosion, the slow fade, the moments where love turns into routine and routine turns into distance. My name's Cole. I'm 38. I work in residential roofing in Plano, Texas. Nothing fancy. I like things simple. I make good coffee, fix the sink before it leaks, and I never miss anniversaries. My wife, Jenna, always said that's what she loved about me, that I was steady, predictable, maybe, but reliable. The kind of man who holds the line. She was always the dreamer between us. Smarter than me. Prettier, too. When she landed a job at Northline Financial as a marketing lead, I was thrilled for her, especially since she'd be working under Randall Pierce, a name you'd hear on Forbes lists and fast-talking podcasts. A local legend in finance, flashy suits, motivational quotes, a reputation for elevating women leaders. At first, I was proud. She came home glowing, talked about his vision, his strategy, how sharp he was. I didn't think much of it. New jobs come with excitement. But slowly, Randall stopped being just a boss. He became a character in our daily life. She'd say things like, "Randall says deadlines are just emotional concepts," or "Randall believes we should all push past discomfort." Always Randall said, not "I think," not "I want." His name kept crawling into our dinner conversations, into her emails, her laughter. Then came the changes. Jenna started dressing sharper even on weekends. Her phone never left her hand. She'd get home late and say, "We had a campaign to brief." But when I asked follow-up questions, she got vague. I told myself I was overthinking, that her glow was career growth, not anything else. I held on to that hope like a man gripping a crumbling ledge. I didn't want to be the insecure husband. I wanted to believe we were still on the same team. One night, I made her favorite dinner: lemon herb chicken, roasted potatoes, wine already breathing. She came home 2 hours late. No apology, just a distracted kiss on the cheek, and a "Randall kept us late again." That name sat in the room like a ghost, hovering between us. We barely touched our food. I started noticing more things after that. The perfume I hadn't smelled in months. Her smile lingering too long on text messages. Her laughter not the one I knew. Not the one she used with me. It had an edge to it. Something private. Something that didn't include me. But still, I didn't say anything. Because I didn't have proof. Because I was scared of the answer. Because love, even when it starts to rot, makes you lie to yourself before anyone else does. So I watched. And I waited. And somewhere in that stillness, I realized something painful. Trust doesn't collapse with a bang. It dies with silence. It was a Tuesday night when everything changed. I was in the kitchen doing the dishes when her phone buzzed on the counter. Jenna was upstairs in the shower. I shouldn't have looked. I really shouldn't have. But when you live in suspicion long enough, even silence starts to sound like betrayal. The message lit up her screen. Could have watched you talk about data analytics all night. Or that star, that little symbol. It hit me harder than the message itself. Her boss, saved in her phone with a star. Not Randall. Work. Not Mr. Pierce. Just star, with a damn star. It wasn't work. It hadn't been for a while. I didn't scream. Didn't throw her phone. I put it down, slowly wiped my hands, and stood there, breathing. When Jenna came down in her robe, her hair dripping, I asked her how work was. She smiled. Busy. We're running projections for Q3. I nodded. That night, I didn't sleep. I watched the ceiling fan spin above our bed while she turned away from me, lost in whatever dreams she had left. Probably not about me. By morning, I had a plan. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. Confrontation means noise, and noise gives people time to hide. I was going to be quiet. Precise. I started documenting everything. Screenshots, receipts from restaurants she never mentioned. I checked the shared credit card we barely used, found a few odd charges. One was for a tasting menu at Halcyon, a spot you had to book weeks in advance. 2 guests. Thursday night. I was home with a migraine that day. She'd said she was working late. Next came her Uber history shared accidentally through our family email. 2 rides to Randall's condo building. One at 9:42 p.m. She told me she was at a networking event. The more I looked, the more it fell apart. The calls, the receipts, the gap between what she said and what the data said. But what hit hardest wasn't the affair itself. It was how lazy the lies were. One night, I overheard her in the kitchen whispering, laughing softly, When I walked in, she hung up and said, Emily. Her voice cracked on the name. I just stared at her. Emily. She blinked along. Yeah, you know. From the team. There's no Emily on her team. I checked LinkedIn the next morning to be sure. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the lack of effort. The way she didn't even try to protect the lie. Like I was too dumb or too kind to put the pieces together. She underestimated me. And maybe I had, too. I stopped asking questions after that. Instead, I opened a folder on my desktop and labeled it just in case. Inside, I dropped every screenshot, every phone bill, every timestamp. I started talking to a buddy who worked IT at a private firm, asked casual questions about metadata, encrypted backups, location logs. Jenna didn't notice or didn't care. She kept lying, kept laughing. And that laugh, it didn't sound like mine anymore. It didn't belong in our house, in our kitchen, in our bed. It belonged to someone else now. So I let her keep it. But I was done being the fool. I wasn't going to burn the house down. I was going to own it. By the time I walked out. By the time Jenna's birthday rolled around, the folder on my desktop was full. Texts, Uber rides, photos, lies stacked neatly like rotten bricks behind a clean white wall. I didn't say a word. Not when she left the room to take calls from HR that came in after midnight. Not when she smiled at her phone and turned it face down when I entered the room. Not even when she told me she was thinking of inviting a few work friends to her birthday dinner, including Randall. That was the only moment I spoke up. If you invite him, I said, I'm out. She blinked, then laughed. You're being dramatic. Cole, it's just dinner. You're so insecure lately. That laugh. That same damn laugh. I didn't respond, just nodded. I think that silence scared her more than yelling with single quotes feed. Tonight's before the party. She sent me a photo of the seating arrangement from her laptop. Randall's name card sat directly beside hers, neatly printed in bold gold letters, my most special guest. I didn't reply. I didn't show up to the party either. Instead, I met with David, a lawyer my cousin recommended. Calm guy. Sharp. Listens more than he talks. When I handed him a flash drive and said, this isn't just personal, it's legal, he raised an eyebrow. Then he read. He read the messages, the time-stamped lies, and most importantly, the email from Jenna to Randall, dated 3 weeks earlier. I probably should have said no, but I didn't, and I don't regret it. Not even a little. That email changed everything. It turned an affair into a liability. Northline has a harassment problem, David said, and she's smack in the middle of it. I didn't feel proud. I didn't feel triumphant. Just steady, like I was standing on something solid again for the first time in months. David filed a corporate complaint the next morning. Formal, documented, and legally protected. By the end of the week, Randall was placed on administrative leave pending investigation. Jenna was interviewed by HR twice. The knock came 2 days later. I was in the kitchen, wiping down the counter, when someone pounded on the front door hard enough to rattle the frame. Boom, boom, boom. I opened it. There he stood, Randall Pierce, in a suit that suddenly looked a small, face red, veins jumping in his neck. Behind him, Jenna, pale and silent. Your lawyer just called me, Randall spat. What the hell did you make him do? I didn't flinch, just stepped aside and motioned to Jenna. This is your mess. She didn't speak, just stared at the floor like it would swallow her. I walked back to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of bourbon, and let the silence do the talking. 10 minutes later, she came in crying. It's all falling apart. Cole, she said. They suspended me. They're reviewing my emails. I didn't mean for. You meant every word. I cut in. You just didn't think consequences would follow. She sobbed into her hands. I watched her, calmly. Not with anger. With peace, because the storm wasn't mine anymore. I handed her an envelope. Inside were the signed divorce papers and a post-it note with one line. I was never trying to trap you. I was just waiting to see who you'd become. I packed my bag. She begged. You're just walking out. No, I said. I walked out the moment you laughed at my line in the kitchen. This is just the last step. And then I left. No revenge. No screaming. Just peace, because dignity doesn't shout. It walks away with its head up.